right, it's the end of 2025. You got to be wondering to yourself, what is the 3D printing market going to be like in 2026? Well, let's go over it. I've broken this down company by company, what I think we can see. Let's do some speculation. It's based on a little bit of fact, a little bit of fiction, a little bit of hope, a little bit of dreams. Here we go. First off, let's talk about Prusa. Now, here's what I got to say about Prusa. I think we'll see incremental changes to the Mark IV and Mark V because, well, that's not a long shot. That's what Prusa does, is incremental changes. I think we'll see a focus on quiet, reliability, and open source focus, which is honestly where they've been because we've seen a lot of stuff coming out from Prusa, all this cool stuff, but the reality, if you look at it, almost nothing that they announced at Formnext was anything they developed. It was all stuff the community or other companies developed that they've incorporated. And that kind of is where Prusa is. They've got their base and they're slowly cranking out. Now, they did adapt with the core system because of course, the pressure from Bambu Lab. Everyone is now, Bambu Lab came out of left field and was like, no, core XY, it's where it's at. And the entire market has shifted to follow them. And Prusa's trying to catch up as well. Not saying they don't have great stuff, but the innovation there is they're really leaning heavily there on their community and not so much on developing stuff themselves. I think we'll see pricing come down because I think they just got to compete. They don't have the kind of the justification to be a super top tier kind of pricer and then see people like Bambu and other ones coming out because there's going to be a lot coming out. They're going to be doing the same thing but cheaper. And the print quality across the board is getting so much better. So that's where Prusa's pressure is going to be. Next, let's talk about Creality. What's happened with Creality in 2025? Everyone, Prusa's coming out with stuff. Elegoo comes out with stuff. Bambu is left, right, center, coming out tons and tons of stuff. The market is changing. We're seeing a huge shift from 3D printers as a hobby where you tinker with the printer to 3D printing as the hobby where it's all about the end result and people just want appliances. The phrase that I'm saying and I constantly hear from everyone else is, I want it to just work. I want to press the button and I want toast to pop out. I don't want to know how the toast is made. I don't want to fidget with the thing to make the toast. I just want to press the button. I want to get toast. I want to focus on the toast. I don't want to focus on the machine. That is where the industry and everything is going. And Creality is going to have to step up. Now, I think there's going to be more K2 variants. They're going to be aggressively pushing features and improved software. I think that's going to be a big one. Here's the issue. Creality, if you're listening, you got too many models. You got to pare it down, folks. It's get a little bit more. I mean, Bambu's got a lot of models, but it's easy to tell exactly when you're looking at a Bambu, what kind of category in, whether you're in the A series, the P series, the H series, you know exactly where you stand. The Creality is just kind of all over the place, random chaos. And unfortunately, some of their quality control and their support has been a bit of random chaos. I'm hoping to see something change in that. And I think also one of the things we're going to see is we're definitely going to see them pushing some sort of color changing non-AMS style technology. It might actually use their AMS. They've got an AMS style box, but they're going to be looking at some sort of tool changer because that's clearly the future where everything's going, whether it's just the nozzle or the full tool or something in between, or maybe they come up with some sort of new tech. Who knows? Maybe it's out there. Anycubic. Now we already know what Anycubic's looking at. We leaked the S1 Max. We know that's coming out. They are, let's face it, Anycubic's a budget brand, all right? And they're always going to be chasing the curve. It's just where you don't usually see budget brands like that leading. They find out what works, what people like, and then they find a way to make that and make it cheaper. And they're going to keep doing that. And if they can get a build plate that is solid and stable and it just works, and the S1 Max can come out and do everything it's supposed to do, I think that'll be a huge win. A large format, multicolor printer, even though it's a single nozzle, not a tool changer, I think if they can get that thing to just work, it would be a massive win. All right, they do need a little focus on the software. They need to get away from the tinkering aspect and moving over to the appliance aspect, which is, I think, exactly what they're doing. That's exactly where they're trying to go. They're going full enclosed XY, and that's a great thing. Snapmaker, wow, Snapmaker crushed it this last year, didn't they? Just an absolute, monster of a machine for the price. It's the full tool changer. You get all the benefits, a little, but the negatives that go along with it. But I mean, for $1,000, sub $1,000 price on that. Granted, it's only 4 tool heads. I expect that we're going to see from them a bigger machine. We're going to see a larger format because they could take that same machine, move it up to a large format printer, and add more print heads. Now, I still would love to see them do the front and back reverse, dual head kind of thing. And maybe they can make that happen. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But I think large format is where it's going to go. And honestly, they got a bunch of accessories they have to get out and stuff to go along with it. They need to build their ecosystem. They got a real win with the Snapmaker U1. They just need to build that base now around it and build up from there and bigger. And then we'll start to see more from them. I think come late third quarter next year is when we're going to start seeing the next things from them. Bambu Lab. Well, Bambu Lab is, they're the guys who basically changed the entire market. And they took what was a niche hobby and have moved it to the point where I meet guys and gals who've not technical at all, are still able to get into the hobby, turn it into a business, do all sorts of stuff, and I am all for it. I think it's fantastic. They are the kings right now of It Just Works. And they have a whole ecosystem around it. And I know a lot of people are really upset with them for the changes they made by locking everything down and making it a walled garden. But there is a sort of zealot-like religiousness to the open source movement. And I get it. There's value in open source. But open source is not the only path, folks. And when you get to that point, when you become that kind of zealot, I'm done listening to you, all right? If you can't be open to other ways of doing things, there's a real benefit. Trust me, name an industry that is led entirely by open source. It's not out there because that's not the way that things move up to that next level. At a certain point, you got to grow up and put on your big boy pants and realize that, walled gardens, closed systems, stuff like that. I mean, even Android, which was like the premier, like, look, open source works, Android. Yeah, they're taking that all in-house as well. So from Bambu Lab, what do we expect to see? I think we're going to get polishing on the H line, okay? We've got the H, there's an H2S, the H2D, and the H2C, and I think that with all these now out in the field, they're getting feedback from those machines. I think they're going to be tweaking those numbers. We're going to get speed and features and other stuff that are going to get implemented software and firmware-wise. They're going to make that all a lot better all the way around. That's of course working with the multi-material workflow and stuff like that. We're going to get more industrial adjacent machines. They're going to start pushing more of that kind of stuff and focusing on people like myself who are in a print farm, print ranch kind of environment. And then also, I think what we're going to see is, I still think there's going to be, and I don't care what you call it, I keep calling it the X2C, and they can call it the P2C or the PL, doesn't matter what name you put on it. Where the X1C is, that's now gone, but that's a huge price gap and feature gap between that and the H series. And I think they're going to park something in there. We've seen some leaks about some multi-heads and other kind of stuff that's been coming out. I think that's end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter, we're going to start seeing some real evidence of that. We probably won't see the machine until end of second quarter, third quarter, but we're going to start, hearing more than just vague concepts and rumors about it, all right? Now, Elegoo, I just did a video on this. Elegoo is, again, another budget brand, great company. They really, they screwed the pooch on this one. All right. And I get lots of people saying, I don't care. It's a $300 box. I don't care if it has color. Brother, I'm with you. I had one that they sent me. I sold it to make room for other stuff. I've been thinking about buying another one just because I like it so much, even knowing that the color's probably never going to happen for it. But that said, A lot of people did buy it with that promise. They justified their purchase because Elegoo promised, and that, promising it, not delivering that, there's a word for that. What's that word? Oh yeah, fraud. All right? They don't deliver that, there will be a lawsuit. I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying it should happen or anything. I'm just stating facts, guys. There are people out there who are livid at Elegoo, and they've got to make a change. Now, one of the things we commented about, though, is that DJI, who I'm a big fanboy of, DJI invested money in Elegoo. All right, they're already ticked at Bambu Lab, stealing that brain drain of engineers away from them. And it's not a one-time thing. That's a constant thing. People leaving and going over there. The headquarters are about 2 miles from each other over in Shenzhen. So it's not a far walk for them to do that. That said, they have invested in Elegoo, and I think from Elegoo, what we're going to see is everything tightening up. That whole ship is just gonna, I make jokes about Elegoo's gonna Elegoo and stuff like that. I think we're gonna see a real change of attitude at Elegoo. And I think some people are gonna be shown the door over there because DJI is not gonna throw money away. They're not just gonna waste money. They are a smart company and they do things by the book. And we're gonna see software quality upgrades, stronger Core XY offerings, value pricing with even a better fit and finish, as well as better communication and setting expectations to the end user about what's really going to happen. We already know that the multicolor system's out. They offered to send me one. They wanted me to sign an NDA. I refused on the NDA. But they said they'd still send me one once it's officially released. So I'm not going to get it early, but apparently I am going to get one. But it is feeling very FlashForge-like, but I think this is the last product we're going to see from Elegoo that is going to be old Elegoo versus new Elegoo. And I'm excited to see what DJI can do with influence over there, and I hope that they build a very DJI-esque brand that is going to compete head-to-head with Bambu Lab. Now, Cheety. I just had the Cheety box. Actually, I just had to get rid of it because I got more stuff coming in. I just don't have the room to keep all of these around forever and ever and ever. We had the Cheety box, the Cheety Q2 with I believe the second rev of the box. And I got to tell you, the box, there's two discussions here, the box itself and the Q2. If you guys don't understand, the Cheety box is their AMS style system. And a lot of early reviewers really ragged on it. It had a lot of problems. I got the second version of it, not a problem in sight. It worked flawlessly. And the box worked great. I did have a lot of firmware crashes and Clipper crashes, and I was constantly after rebooting them. But after a while, those went away. I think there was another firmware update, and they resolved some of those issues. Basically, what I felt was this was a very solid value price box, value targeted box that was a little rough around the edges. And hardware-wise, it still kind of is. There's some areas where you're just like, it's not as elegant a solution as we see from some of the higher stuff from like Bambu or Prusa or people like that. But for the price point where it's targeting, like people like Elegoo are going to need to pick up their game. People like Creality and FlashForge are going to be in a real world of hurt there if they don't figure out what's going on. Speaking of FlashForge, let's talk about them. FlashForge, talk about like Elegoo screwed up. And FlashForge is like, really? Hold my beer. I'll show you how it's done. And they came out and they released an Instagram post saying that they would basically turn anybody in who tried to 3D print, not just guns, weapons on their machine, and they would be turned into authorities and possibly arrested. And the feedback on that was spicy, to say the least, all right? Now, and they responded by walking it back, saying, we never intend to do that. That's not going to happen, yada, yada. FlashForge even reached out to me, and I've had a conversation with them. And I'm like, I'd hoped that I was going to hear some story that like, hey, it was a rogue intern with really, fanatic, personal political beliefs who posted that, and that person's been taken off the Instagram team or something like that. No, it was, and you could speculate, there was speculation that they were responding to pressure from Europe or pressure from American district attorneys or all sorts. Doesn't matter. they basically came out and said, "Hey, we're going to eavesdrop on you," and they're like, "No, no, no, actually, we're not. We just they screwed up. All right, they screwed up, and a lot of people just don't have any intention to work with them." And I told them, like, look, you're going to have to find a way to not only dial that back or walk that back, but you're going to have to prove that you have good intentions. Now, I don't know whether that's like implementing some sort of like hardware lockout so you can lock your machine so they can't see anything, or like donating money to the NRA to prove that you support gun rights, or that, fire the CEO or something. I don't know what you're going to have to do, but a lot of people have written you off their list entirely. All right. I'm just being honest, because we have a 100% transparency guarantee here on the channel. That was the conversation I had. They're going to continue focusing on education. They're going to try to upgrade their systems, maybe go a little Bambu-ish, maybe locking down the system a little bit more, going more with their own type of slicer, and going for a less hobbyist appeal. Kind of going towards that Maker Forge kind of area, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the real question is, since Bambu did what they did, which is pretty much almost mainstreamed 3D printers, we're on that cusp of 3D printers being mainstream. Think about it. How many people do you casually know who also have a 3D printer? How many of them, it's not just something the kid has that they got for Christmas? How many of them have it as something that they use around the house for other stuff? We're getting close to that appliance level where every home's most homes are gonna have a 3D printer, because you're just gonna be able to download products and print them yourself. Within the next 10 years, will be at that point, and I think we're right at that cusp in 2025. 2026 is gonna be the first year stepping into that. All right, so who's going to jump in? Could we see somebody from Apple? Now, Apple at this point is a follower. They're just not a market leader. I love Apple. I run on a Mac. I have an iPhone, what is this, 16, I think it is. The whole family uses them. I'm not anti-Mac. I'm not anti-Apple. They've got, and this happens with a lot of industries. You become a market leader. You become dominant. Well, then you don't have to take those risks anymore. And then once you see a technology becoming, oh, that's really cool, and everyone starts wanting it, then you can be like, all right, we'll develop something like that. Hence, 2026 from Apple, we're going to see a folding phone finally. All right. But I don't see them jumping into the 3D printing space just yet. But that does not mean that we're not going to see some other major players decide they want to dip their toe in it. We already saw Anker, who's a major electronics company, with the Eufy systems. Now they pulled out, and now they're doing the Eufy Make, and that whole fiasco with Kickstarter and whatnot. But here's what I want to hear from you. What major brand out there, major player, do you think is going to dip their toes in 3D printing next year? Because I think that Bambu Labs has basically just proven that there's a market here outside the tinkerer market. And now that that's been proven, there's somebody who's going to want to get in on that cash. All right. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you like what we do, go ahead and chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.